sounds like they're trying to avoid that right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I'm happy with. I didn't really want to be here Saturday night.
And we're live, just to let you know.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that.
Listen, Edmonds Woodway. Is this me or you?
I put 2 over there. Are you getting a... Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sound Live Sports Network in the late game, the 8 o'clock game featuring the Edmonds Woodway Warriors and the Lynwwood Royals 3A South football. And these two teams, both with identical records of 2-2 on the season, both coming off wins a week ago, and both trying to ride some momentum into the halfway mark. If we can believe it or not, we've already played through, this is the halfway mark of the season for both of these teams, and playoff contention is really not that far away, less than a month away. And we bring in my broadcast partner, Steve Willits. It really comes down to each and every week now, especially with the one loss in the district play in your conference. Each one of these games is just mighty.
It's huge right now. I mean, Glacier Peak is looking like they might be the team to beat. Let's just go into the assumption, not to say that it can't happen differently, but let's say Glacier Peak does run the table and go undefeated. Suddenly you're looking at 3 or 4 different teams vying for spots 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you finish second place in the conference, in the division, you wrap up an automatic playoff berth. If you finish in third, it comes down to a crossover game in week 9. You do not want to have to go into that 9th week knowing that it's win or go home. You'd rather get it done earlier than that. And both of these teams with 1 loss in league play right now, this game's huge.
Absolutely giant. And at a home game for the Lynwood Royals tonight, they're occupying the bleachers on the near side, right in front of the press box, forcing Edmonds Woodway to a place where they're not used to playing and, and having a perspective on the far side of the field. They'll be wearing the white jerseys and the green coconuts on the helmet gear there, and of course the Lynwood Royals dressed in all black with the gold trim. And we're getting ready to start here. It looks like Jake Stevenson from the Edmonds Woodway Warriors will do the kicking duties, and we will get the late night game underway. Edmonds Woodway having come off a very big victory against the now 4-1 Mount Lake Terrace Hawks after beating the Shorecrest Scots in the early game. We'll get to that in a moment. Taken in at the 8-yard line, Edmonds Woodway in pursuit. Can't pick up the ball carrier, finally dropped down. And that was Bradley Pett, the defensive back, the senior, running the football for the Royals. And we haven't seen a lot of Royals football so far on Sound Live Sports Network, so this ought to be a treat. We've covered them an awful lot last year.
Yeah, I had a chance to watch just about every game they had last year, and so far they're 4 games in, and I have not seen a moment of action besides a few highlight videos on YouTube. But this will be a fun treat for us.
So we'll get to the starting lineup for the Lynnwood Royal offense under the direction of Alton Hammond, who will be in the quarterback spot behind the split backs, and into the pile straight ahead into that Edmonds Woodway defense, who prides themselves on defense, although they put up a pretty good 27 points against 28 points against Mount Lake Terrace a week ago. So they can put up points as well as stop.
Mount Lake Terrace has put up 30 or more points on each of their other opponents they've played this year. Edmonds Woodway held them to 10. There's a good number right there for you.
2nd down and 7 to go. Ball on the 28-yard line. A little student body off to the left-hand side. Great pursuit down the line for the Warriors.
Hammond, 5'9", 205 pounds. And oh, by the way, last year was one of their main running backs for the Royals, so we know he can run the rock a little bit. He's more than capable. He's a dual threat out there, and they have to really keep an eye on that.
And talking to head coach for the Warriors, John Gradwall, this week, he mentioned exactly that, the fact that they are expecting run more often than not. And then into the neutral zone, Edmonds Woodway will give the free pass at least 5 yards for the Royals. And, of course, it's been something we've talked about in the past, that really which Edmonds Woodway team is going to show up on the field at every given day. And last week a surprise that they played a very, very good football game. 2 weeks ago, not so much.
I was shocked, and really the 2 weeks prior to that, both of those losses, I mean, they just, against Kamiak, they did not look good at all. And for them to come out the way they did last week, if we see that team show up again here tonight, Lynwwood might be in trouble.
3rd down and 4. Man in motion for the Royals, straight ahead on the quarterback keeper, up near the line to gain. And it will be a short by a yard on the keeper. And then you mentioned Hammond, how he knows how to tuck and go. That'll probably be the 3rd running back in that backfield. Will be the quarterback, not afraid to take the football.
Essentially, he is the 3rd running back. You're absolutely right. In some ways, he might be the 1st running back. He's going to run it more often than not. Nice spin move by Hammond there, and give the Warriors a lot of credit for keeping him from getting that 1st down.
Going off the left side, Harris Katuk and Nathan Junkin doing the blocking duties in front of Hammond, and they will punt it away on 4th down. This one will squirt a Lynwwood bounce all the way down and out of bounds at the 15-yard line. So quite a bit of distance on the punt, and a long patch of green ahead for Isaac Jackson and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors.
That was actually Riley Johnson punting. He's one of the star wide receivers for this Royals team too. 51-yard punt on the play. Not a bad way to start off your kicking night.
Not at all. And with 9:42 to go, Edmonds Woodway will start their first possession of the football game with the ball on the 15-yard line. And as we mentioned, had trouble scoring points and moving the football with any kind of consistency in the first couple of weeks of the regular season. And then last week had 3 or 4 drives that were very well managed. And they'll do it with Isaac Jackson on the rollout now. The quarterback will look downfield and finds a receiver for the catch. And a couple of very good receivers, that time the tight end coming out to make the catch. That was Graydon Heron.
Yeah, Heron actually a fullback, so kind of making his way into the flat there. And, you know, the biggest difference between last week's game for Edmonds Woodway and the 2 weeks prior to that, an error-free ball game by your quarterback, Isaac Jackson. 3 interceptions each of the 2 games prior. Didn't throw an interception last week, only had 4 incompletions. He was solid.
2nd down and 3 after the complete pass. Only 1 in the backfield this time. No, they put 2. There's Heron and Reinford in the I formation. They'll hand it off to Tyler Reinford into a pile, and he will get the 1st down. Reinford, a very top-heavy runner, but a very strong one. If you don't get him the first time, he's going to get some downhill on you, and he can turn it upfield with some pizzazz. The kid can run over people.
Yeah, 6'1", 200. That's always a tough task for a high school team to go up against at any rate. And for him to be as agile and as athletic as he is for that size, yeah, it just makes it that much more difficult if you're a defender.
8:23 to go, first quarter, just underway here at Edmonds District Stadium on the Sound Live Sports Network. Thanks for being part of our doubleheader tonight. Keith Neely and Steve Willits, the handoff. That one looked like a misdirection that just misfired. And Edmonds Woodway really struggling at that point.
Yeah, that was Heron on the carry there, trying to catch him off guard a little bit, and Lynwood was ready for it.
Big old Mikhail Kirkman on the stop for the Royals, the linebacker, a 5'11", 235-pound senior.
Mikhail, a very good linebacker, by the way, ran into his mom right before the game, and I guess the Lorenzo family in New Mexico, Arizona, and Las Vegas all watching Mikhail and his brother out there tonight. The Kirkmans in full force.
There's the pitch out to Rhineford once again, stopped with a shoestring tackle, and guess who?
Mikhail Kirkland one more time.
Showing some speed. Not only got deep in the backfield of Edmonds Woodway, but able to chase a very crafty runner in Tyler Rhineford and catch him by the heels. It'll bring up third down and 8. Just about 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go here, first quarter, just getting started. The third game at home for Edmonds Woodway. And now another misdirection. They give it to Rhineford, and he has nowhere to run to on the short porch over there in front of his own bench. And that will bring up fourth down. So in comes the punt team, and Jake Stevenson, the punter and kicker on this Warrior squad, will boot it clear. So 2 possessions, 1 apiece for each team, 2 punts.
Nice job by number 57, Aaron Riles, a.k.a. the General, making a big stop on that play. Rhineford, like we mentioned before, he's a load, and if he gets out in the open, he can get that first down. Riles and Riley Johnson made sure that didn't happen.
High. Well, not high kick. Low kick.
Favorable bounce, though. That's
took,
for sure.
It took off once it hit the turf and rolls all the way down to the 37-yard line. And that's where the Royals will start 1st and 10 on their second drive.
34-yard punt, aided by a very nice roll. It looked like it was going to be a 15 to 20-yarder. Always the beauty of playing on artificial surfaces. You just never know where that ball's going, and sometimes if you're a kicker, it goes to your advantage.
And a nice shiny one, too. There's a lot of skip on this artificial field turf. And once again, Hammond will architect the drive for the Royals. Here's the handoff on the interior, straight into the pile. Extremely tough run defense for Edmonds Woodway. They've got we've mentioned in a couple broadcasts, they've got 3 linebackers that really love to see ball carriers. Tyler Rhineford, you know him. He's the running back on the offense. And then big 44, Spencer Schultz, and I don't mean big as in tall, but he is compact and powerful, and he is a big presence out there on the Warrior team. We'll call his number quite a bit tonight. 5:53 to go. Here's the shotgun formation. A little swing out on the bubble screen. Really nowhere to run to into the bench in the Edmonds Woodway side. Perhaps a yard pickup will bring up third down. So the greatest yard gain so far for the Royals has been on the 5-yard encroachment penalty on Edmonds Woodway.
And Lynwwood really trying different things right now. I mean, the running game isn't working up the middle. They get Bryce Milne out there on the bubble screen. That's not working either. One thing we haven't seen them do yet is go downfield. We might get that right here.
3rd down and 9. Back to pass under some duress. Finally springs loose. Now here comes that running back right out to the sideline and a first down. Great job of realizing where the pocket was around him. Hammond had bodies flying right by him, stepped up into the pocket, realized he had daylight, and turned it loose.
Did a nice job of realizing it very quickly, too. I think if he waits another split second or two, he might still pick up 3 or 4 yards, but to do that when there's still enough of a hole out there, when you've got the defense on their heels, great job by Hammond.
1st down and 10 now with the ball on the 49-yard line, right about midfield. For the gents in the black and gold, there's the handoff, left-hand side this time, or right-hand side rather, 10 yards and a pile of dirt.
We gave Rhineford a lot of credit for being a large running back who can move. Bradley Peth, 6'1", 215, and he can really get the ball down the field quickly.
Riley Johnson out on the block ahead of him, doing a nice job of not selling the deep route. Came back and helped pick up his linebacker, or not his linebacker, his running back rather, They get near the line to gain, 2nd down and 1. And now a trip into the pile. And they'll mark him about the line of scrimmage, I believe, Steve. They'll gain.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see if that might have been Kirkman on the carry too. So we're seeing multiple running backs come in and trying to get the job done, and it doesn't seem to matter who it is. That Warrior defense, they're playing solid. And like you mentioned earlier, those 3 linebackers, they're doing a great job, but really the front line's doing a fabulous job as well right now.
Beth, Hammond, and Kirkman in the backfield. That's your little wing back there. Now Kirkman will go in motion right in front of the center shotgun formation. They'll keep the ball. Hammond will try to spin, gets loose, still on his feet, now into the secondary, picks up 10, 20, now down to the 15-yard line. And that play could have been over 4 times, but Alton Hammond was not having any of it.
Wow, and various ways of doing it too, with the spin move initially and then with power at the very end of the play. I mean, if you're Edmonds Woodway right now, I mean, look at who you've got in the backfield. All 3 of those players that you just mentioned before you called the snap, all over 200 pounds, all can run the ball.
The wide receivers, Bryce Milne, Cody Diamond. You got Riley Johnson in the slot. So twins on the far side. You got that full house backfield with Kirkman in motion. They'll hand the ball off. This time it will be Peth with the carry and picks up 4. So as soon as I mentioned they've struggled with gaining yardage, it's coming off in large chunks now.
It's the Murphy's Law of high school broadcasting. I think every time I compliment somebody, they and you as well, they seem to come up with a mistake, and every time we mention that there's a weakness, they come up strong.
3:30 to go first quarter, 2nd down and 5 with a ball on the 11-yard line. Back to pass is Hammond, now under some trouble, will look to pick up any block he can, and instead of a 3-yard, 4-yard loss, manages to get back to the line of scrimmage and then gain a yard. 1-yard pickup on the carry.
I am really impressed with Hammond right now. I mean, again, I watched him run out of the backfield last year, but not quite like this. He just, that 1 year of extra growth and experience, he runs hard, but he runs very instinctively too. I mean, he just knows where the tacklers are coming. He spins well, and he gets ahead.
Again, the full house backfield in the shotgun formation goes Hammond. Twins on the far side. And here's the snap, the counter play now, and the first down near the goal line for Lynwood. Peth. A little hesitation enough to allow the halfback, or the fullback Kirkman, to make his pass through, and then gets the handoff, goes counter to the left, down to the 1-yard line. So 1st and goal on the 1. Nice sustained drive. The keeper pushing the pile forward and into the end zone. Touchdown, Lynwood. Hammond takes it himself just left of center. And the Royals strike first.
And we're really going to see what Edmonds Woodway's made of on the next drive out there. This is where a team like Lynwood gets a little confidence early. They're not sure how they're going to compete with a team like Edmonds Woodway. You come out, you punch them in the mouth, so to speak. You sustain a drive like you mentioned. You wear down their defense. And now if you're Edmonds Woodway, you had such an easy time, or it seemed easy anyway, with Mount Lake Terrace last week. To have a team like Lynwood go down there and make it look fairly simple, how do you adjust now? And that's what's gonna be determined when we see Edmonds Woodway's defense back out here later on in this game.
And we'll find out after we take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network. The PAT is good, 7-0 Lynwood. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. An 8-play, 63-yard drive with Mr. Hammond, the quarterback, with a quarterback sneak into the end zone for 1 yard to make it a 7-0 Lynnwood Royal lead. Last year these two teams met, and Edmonds Woodway dispatched them pretty early, 21-6, and a slide down. Jalen Nash couldn't keep his feet and has to down the ball at the 4, so a little bit of misfortune for Edmonds Woodway will take him out of what seemed to be some pretty good field position, because there was a lot of distance between Nash and anybody in black.
Not only was there a lot of distance, we've seen Nash, once he gets into the open field and once he gets some movement going, he's fast, he's elusive, and he can make things happen. So for them to have to take the knee at the 4, that's a tough break.
Started the last drive at their own 15. Got a couple of first downs before things stalled. Now Edmonds Woodway will have quite a distance to go, and they'll give most of the carries to that man right there, Tyler Reinford, who busts through the middle on another interior handoff for 7 yards and a second down.
Edmonds Woodway running that no-huddle offense, keeping their defense on their heels. Worked last week. Let's see what it does for them now.
A minute 51 to go, first quarter, second down and 4. Here's the pass on a very nice route. The cornerback for the Royals fell down over there on the far sideline. Riley Johnson, looks like everyone's having a little bit of trouble with the turf. That's why David Woodard was so wide open over there. Another handoff through the middle. Now cut back into the secondary.
21-yard gain, and it looked like there was a lot of confusion on the Royals side of the field there as the defense was still shifting when the ball was snapped, and Herring, I think, took advantage of that rather nicely. The line blew a huge hole for him, and he made his way forward for 21 yards.
Graydon Herron now up near midfield. The leading receiver, or the leading rusher now for Edmonds Woodway, upended just a little bit. The receiver was Reed Whitson, the tight end. The pass is complete. And now the no huddle, as you mentioned, Steve, they had some success, and they'll put it right back into action here at midfield.
When you can do it effectively, it's tough for the defense to adjust.
Second down. There's another swing out pass. This time it's Nash. Nash gets corralled just after making the completion.
Alton Hammond, the quarterback on offense, he's the tenacious defensive player on the other side of the ball and holding Nash to a 2-yard gain.
Riley Johnson right there was going to get the pickup if Hammond didn't drag him down. So they were very good pursuit for Lynwood. That'll bring up third down and 4. There's a little fly sweep, and Nash gets around the corner, first down. And you lost track of him. I lost track of him once he turned the corner, thinking there was plenty of black jerseys over there, but somehow coming out the other side was Nash.
Nash will do that to you. I mean, he's just so quick and so elusive, and when you think you have him, just squirts out of your grasp and does what he did there. He gets an extra 5 or 10 yards at the end of a play. However, we do have a penalty marker down. It looks as though this ball might be coming back.
And the way Edmonds Woodway is retreating their huddle back to about the 35-yard line, and we have a hold, and that may be why the 5'6" Jalen Nash was the escape artist on the far side. 5'6", 150-pound junior. Just because you're small doesn't mean you can't play this game.
No, it does not. We saw a kickoff returner in the last game, the earlier game tonight, 115 pounds. So, yeah, you can get by, but you do need a little speed if you're going to play it at that size.
You got to have a skill set somewhere. 11 seconds to go in the first quarter. Jackson with the bootleg now, back to pass. Under some pressure, fires a bullet, and it's picked off at the 40-yard line. Hammond with it, still running on his feet outside the 40-yard line down to the 35.
Yeah, that was actually Bryce Milne, the safety on the play.
Bryce Milne, number 10.
Yeah, great job by Milne. Looks like he went from the 38 to the 38, so we'll give him 24 yards on the return. And just playing center field, that's what they teach you at that safety position. And Jackson, for a brief moment, he thought he had somebody down the field. He was getting rushed at the time, too. He took a pretty good pop as he threw the ball. So give the defensive line a lot of credit there for forcing that turnover, but give Milne a lot of credit as well.
That's the end of the first quarter. Right now, Lynwood seems to be in the driver's seat. We'll find out if they can score on their second drive here to start the second quarter. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
We're back and in action. And the first play of the game, quarterback Alton Hammond with the keeper picks up the first down. 10 yards on the carry, and once again getting closer and closer to that Warrior red zone after the pick to end the first quarter of play on Bryce Milne's very nice anticipation of an Isaac Jackson pass. And Lynwood looking to get two big chunks on this defense, and that time swallowed up in the backfield is Kirkman.
That's the defense we were expecting right there. Reinford in there on the tackle as well as a few other players.
Ollie Gay, the defensive end, not a small boy either, 6'5", 235, only a junior.
Logan Lambert also in on the tackle that play, so another linebacker who is capable of making big tackles when needed.
Second down and 13. For Lynwood, Hammond with the full house. Twins on the near side. And once again jumping just a bit, and the Lynwood staff doesn't like it a bit. Caught at the 20-yard line, still on his feet to the 15. That's Riley Johnson. You've mentioned him before, that he's a dangerous receiver, a dangerous weapon, and Hammond found him wide open on that left flat.
I want to say it was the Shorecrest game earlier this year. I believe Johnson had at least 2 touchdown receptions in that game. He's a threat, and certainly somebody you have to keep your eye on if you're Edmonds Woodway out there in the passing game.
So second long after the loss. They go through the air and pick up the first down. Inside the red zone now on the 15-yard line. Kirkman in motion. They'll go straight into the pile, and look like Ollie Gay got there on the blitz on the outside. Gay may have got a stop for a loss. And now we've got an official's timeout as we have an injury on the field.
And Gay doing a great job of pursuing from behind on that play. Like you mentioned, blitzing in from the end position. But then once he got there, a lot of times you'll see a defensive end come crashing in like that. If the offensive player or the running back gets into the line of scrimmage, the defensive end will pull up and just figure, okay, I'm done with this play. Gay didn't give up on it. He came in from behind, grabbed him, wrapped him up, made sure that he kept him prevented him from getting back to the line of scrimmage.
10:23 here left in this second quarter of play, and the injury, a Lynnwood Royal down on the field, and I saw a number 5, 50. Number 50, the starting left guard, Harris Kutuk. And the junior, 6 foot, 215. A lot of big boys on this Lynwood varsity squad.
Good size and a lot of youth as well. I mean, Hammond's only a junior. Kudik is a junior. You look up and down this roster, you see a lot of 11s and 10s, a lot of juniors and sophomores. It's a team that's really built for to have some success over time. I know 2 years ago as a freshman team, the class of 17, they only lost 1 game on their whole entire freshman schedule. So you know they've got some talent.
Second down and 11 after the yard loss. Didn't stop him the last time. Back to pass now. Hammond will roll out to his left. Looks down. Field has to elude one tackler. Still on his feet. Still looking downfield. Still spinning. And now a shuffle pass out of bounds. And we'll see if it is ruled incomplete pass is how they rule it on the shuffle pass. That's a question mark for me.
I don't question whether it was a pass. It was definitely a forward throw. I question who he was, and there we finally get the flag.
Yep.
I questioned if he had anybody he was throwing it to. He was just trying to unload that.
So intentional grounding will be the loss of down. And head coach Bankhead out there making the argument he had a receiver in the area. And I don't think either one of us
not even
saw
close.
something close to that, but you make the argument. So a loss of down and the yardage on the sack.
And I know I'm going to mess this name up because I think I did last week. Is it Abduli Jada?
Abduli Jada. Bingo.
Great job by Jada. Jada pursued Hammond when he rolled out to the left, missed him initially. Hammond rolled back to the right. Jada, much like Ali Gay on the last play, didn't give up on it, kept running, and he was the one that ultimately hit Hammond and forced him to ground it.
So 3rd down and 25 yards to go. Hammond back to pass, now looking deep. Has a wide receiver over his shoulder trying to make an acrobatic circus catch. Can't come up with it. That time, he did have a man in the area, and it was Riley Johnson.
Johnson thinking he was back in 1954 and doing a little Willie Mays in the outfield there, trying to catch it over his shoulder. It almost worked, too. He came very close to pulling that one in.
They have Riley Johnson down as 5'9". Boy, he sure looks a lot taller than that to me.
Yeah.
He looks like he's well above 6 foot when you watch him run routes.
I would have definitely guessed more like 5'11", 6 foot. You're right.
Yep.
He does not play like a 5'9" receiver.
4th down and 25. Now a little bit of a duress over the middle and picked off. And that's as good as a punt on 4th down. And running now back across the pattern goes Max Gradwall, the safety, with the interception. And now Edmonds Woodway will take one back and see if they can do any damage on the offensive side.
I was going to knock Gradwell a minute ago for actually making that interception rather than letting it fall, but he almost got it back to the original line of scrimmage. Only came about 4 yards short, and hey, any of us who have ever played DV at the high school level,
you want it.
You want that interception on your record,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't blame Max one bit. And hey, you never know, if you can get by 1 or 2 tacklers, you could be going the other direction and down the sideline.
I winced a little bit also when I saw that catch. Just for any player, probably taught throughout his peewee career that on 4th down and long, you just bat it down. And here comes Isaac Jackson, tries to escape and do his own Hammond impression. Gets 2 yards on the scurry.
Yeah, the general, Aaron Riles, once again making a big play. He was not going to let that one go any further down the field.
9:07 to go, 2nd quarter, 2nd down and 8 with the ball on the 28. The Warriors able to just pick little bits here and there at a drive, but have not strung anything together. The marching stops, and there's this screenplay and an outstanding job, a good play call, and a big distance now, midfield, crossing the 45, down to the 30-yard line, running out of gas slightly, and finally dropped as Graydon Heron runs out of octane about the 20-yard line and hits the turf. If he's got anything left in the tank, that's 6.
Yeah, there was the invisible gorilla on the back there. It looked pretty good at first, and then all of a sudden he got around that 30, and all of a sudden that gorilla got heavier and heavier. But Heron, great job, 52-yard gain. Great setup by the Edmonds Woodway offense, both Jackson and the line, to let that play kind of produce the way it should and set up his blockers. Nice pickup.
And the fullback will give way to his halfback. This time it is Reinford with the carry. But Heron, the leading rusher now, coming out of the fullback spot. You don't see that a lot, even in the high school ranks.
Yeah, we've seen him with a couple of receptions tonight as well.
Yep.
So it's that was a 52-yard reception there, and he's also had another one on that first drive of the game. We have an injury down for one of the Royals.
So the second Royal down on the turf. Of course, this late game, and that's one thing that I've noticed in my years covering football here at Edmonds District Stadium. Seems like the late game gets the majority of the injuries because the kids are waiting around in the locker room, and you get those cramps. It's most of the time, it seems like that's what it is. It's the cramps that kind of come out and get these kids later on in the late games.
So when they're getting ready for that 8 o'clock game, you're saying they're not sipping pickle juice at 7:15?
I don't think, or mustard, no. I just don't think that's what's happening. Now, I know Sandy Metzger, the trainer out there talking to the down player, will pack all sorts of bitter tasting objects. Packets of all sorts of nasty stuff to ward off the cramps. Mustard packets, the pickle juice, the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I don't know if I've heard it works.
I have a finicky palate, so I think I would just take the cramp and just deal with it.
I think I'm walking it off.
I'll take pain over pickles. That's just me, though.
So Edmonds Woodway down a touchdown. Are riding a Heron 52-yard snag over the middle, all the way down to the 12-yard line. And then, of course, the Rhineford 8-yard run tacked on to the end of that. So one big play and a couple of nice play calls around it, including that screen. Edmonds Woodway finally all the way down inside the Lynwood Royals red zone. And they're helping the injured player off, favoring that left leg, Steve.
Yeah, still trying to figure out who that is. It's one of the players in the 50s.
Looks like 56, Samson Negus, the defensive end, senior, 5'10", 220 pounds. And that looks a little more than a cramp to me, Steve.
No, indeed, it is not that is not a cramp, I don't think. And the nice thing is that when we watched him coming off the field a minute ago, wasn't putting any weight on the leg, starting to a little bit over here now, so we'll keep an eye on him. 2nd
down and 2. I formation for the Warriors. They'll hand the ball off to Rhineford. He has some distance. He's got daylight into the end zone. Touchdown, E-Dub. So just like that, Edmonds Woodway puts 5 plays together and makes it look easy.
Yeah, that looked a little more like the Edmonds Woodway we were expecting to see tonight. Just like you said, multi-dimensional. You get it done with the passing game. You get it done with your running backs. You march down the field. You score a touchdown. Seems easy enough, right? But it wasn't in the first quarter.
So 11 yards on the score for Rhineford, awaiting the PAT now from Stevenson to try to knot this thing at 7. And we've seen very consistent, of course, I'm going to say this, very consistent PATs so far this season, I think all across the teams. And this is up and hits the upright, and just like that.
The Keith Neely jinx strikes again. I was just about to say you didn't see the Shorecrest team before this game. They were having a lot of troubles with PATs, and boy, that sneaky upright gets them again.
Reached right out there and bit my words in half. Snap. Not even funny. Anyway, Edmonds Woodway will cut into the lead quite a bit, 7-6 with 7:53 to go. We'll take one quick break and be back in just a moment on Live Sports Network.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
We're back at Edmonds District Stadium. Keith Neely and Steve Willits on the Sound Live Sports Network. Steve getting double duty tonight, having watched a spectacular early ball game in the 5 o'clock game with the dramatics.
Okay. It was okay.
Okay. I saw you cheering over here.
Hey, I don't even care who's playing. When you get a team go up on another team 20-0 in the first quarter and the other team comes back and wins it in dramatic fashion the way Mount Lake Terrace did, I'm an alum. I enjoyed it, but it didn't matter. It was fun to watch. Daniel Johnson, 4 catches for 221 yards and 3 touchdowns, and gets the big 65-plus yard game winner with 2:03 to go.
Well, and it's that very play. I still have it pictured firmly in my my mind, him going up between two white Shorecrest jerseys, maybe 4 inches. You see his fingertips up there above the defense hauling that game winner in. And that young man very happy after.
I think he's still running, by the way.
He might be. 7:53 to go. And here is Hammond trying to find some daylight, will not do it. And that right-hand side of the Edmonds Woodway defense. Ollie Gay, Spencer Schultz.
And unfortunately, we have another Royal down.
And also Xander Hall-Spakuza in on the tackle over there on the far side.
Really, I mean, going back to not only the Malik Terrace Shorecrest game, but this game here as well, this is what makes football so much fun at the high school level. I mean, just when you think a team kind of takes over a game, they've got the momentum, they seem to be overpowering their opponent, something changes awfully quick. Sometimes it's quickly in a matter of a play. Sometimes it's just gradually over time, but you never do know. I mean, Shorecrest in that first quarter, I was convinced they were going to blow Malik Terrace out. They lose. Come out here tonight about 10 minutes ago after Lynwwood marches down the field and makes it look easy, then Edmonds Woodway, throws that interception. Well, now I'm starting to think maybe this is Lynwood's game and it's going to be a runaway, and then all of a sudden now Edmonds has the momentum. So it's what makes it fun and what makes you think you always have to kind of keep tuned in because you just never know.
We've been doing this for, 10 years plus, and I'm still surprised. Almost every other week is something crazy happens that your mind can't reel fast enough on what you just saw. Another run off to the left-hand side and stopped. A good job by the same defenders for Edmonds Woodway. But high school sports is just, it's unpredictable. You've got 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Just as soon as they make a mistake, turn around and do something incredible. And you wonder why the stands are full, huh?
Indeed.
And there's a great play right near the first down marker. In the beginnings of the rain here.
Hey, Keith, wanted to point out, two plays ago, that was Joshua Morales, number 63, that went down for Lynwwood. Morales is now, in fact, jogging back onto the field, coming back into the game. So good to see that he was able to get up. Even better to see that he's back in the game.
Path on the reception. Gets near the first down marker, but not quite enough. They actually mark him out of bounds 2 yards short. So the punt squad will come on. And Johnson will do the punting for the Lynnwood Royals. And deep to return is Nash for the Warriors. And right in front of Nash is David Woodard. So the two receivers for the Warriors in the rain begins to come down. Low snap. And they've got either a timeout or, yes, it is. It's a timeout Royals just as the snap was occurring. And the precipitation coming down in waves now.
It's always tough to tell from up here and being covered the way we are just how hard that rain's coming down. It's somewhat misleading sometimes. It gets into those lights there and sometimes it looks worse than it is, but right now it's, at the very least, it's blowing.
Certainly is blowing. And the flag on the northeast side. Well, now we've got a turnover on downs. I think the ball might have touched the ground. There's a run into the end zone, and I am totally confused. Rhineford with the touchdown. A 16-yard TD in one play.
Well, that makes two of us, Keith, because I was under the impression we were going to repunt that ball. All of a sudden, we look up, and Edmonds Woodway's offense is on the field, and one play later, they're in the end zone.
You could tell the rain coming down there in that last shot, and I believe the ball skipped off the turf. And so it was either that or the punter had his knee down in order to field the ball. That's more likely. And now a Stevenson kick is through the uprights and good. So we'll huddle amongst ourselves to try to figure out what that was about. 13-7. Edmonds Woodway over Lynwwood with 6:45 to go here in the half. We'll be back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Edmonds Woodway with one play, 16 yards. Tyler Reinford scrambles over the left-hand side and rumbles into the end zone to make it 13-7 Edmonds Woodway with 6:45 to play in the half. And we're still baffled. A little bit of a head scratcher up here, Steve. Best I can tell is the ball was kicked low and had to be fielded off the turf. And the punter had his knee down in order to try to just corral it.
Yeah, out of the corner of my eye, I looked out there and I thought, why is there no punter in there? And then I realized, because Edmonds Woodway's offense is on the field. And, yeah, I didn't see that at all. I heard the whistles up here. I just assumed that they had blown the play dead before it even started or a timeout was called. But apparently, no, you're right. Somebody must have taken a knee while they were trying to scoop a ball up and gave Edmonds Woodway a very short field and gave them a one-play touchdown drive. More whistles.
Keep seeing it. Weird things on a high school football field. 6:45 to go. And now Twins on the near side, full house backfield for Hammond. And the run off to the left-hand side, getting a little daylight now. A lot of pursuit has to occur, but just in front of the first down marker.
Yeah, Peth running very hard on that play. Again, 215-pound back. He's able to shed one tackler and then gets a little bit of momentum going, and once he's got that, he's tough to bring down.
6:30 to go. 1st and 10 with the ball on the 30-yard line for Lynwwood. They hand the ball straight away on the interior. That time Peth hits a wall of white jersey. Big number 73, Michael Swires on the stop.
I mentioned you give Peth some momentum. He's hard to bring down. Best way to avoid that, don't let him get the momentum going. Meet him in the backfield, and that's exactly what Squires and a couple of his teammates did there.
Yeah, and you put 6'1", 225 in front of him to make the stop. That's Swires, Girth. And now here's the play action straight up the middle, getting some momentum enough to get through the initial handoff and the point of contact in the backfield.
I like the call that time, Peth. It was a draw play, so Hammond faked the pass, immediately handed it off to him, trying to catch the defense sleeping a little bit, and did initially, but the linebackers, they were waiting for him.
3rd down and 8 for Lynwwood. 2 receivers on the near side, one in front of the Edmonds Woodway bench. They put Peth in motion now. Hammond looking downfield. As a receiver, it's caught. Riley Johnson on the pickup. And he'll pick up the first down, most importantly, just at the line to gain.
Interesting play there, too. I'm not sure if that was the intended route that he was supposed to run or not, because Johnson kind of did a pattern where he ran into the middle of the field, and it was almost as though he did a slant back towards the sideline. It wasn't really a hook or a curl or even an out for that matter, but Hammond put it in the right spot for him.
Johnson now in the slot on the far side, and they'll hand the ball off. Fumble on the play, and quickly bouncing back right toward the quarterback, Hammond, and Alton falls on it in order to preserve the possession, and that would be a dangerous place to cough one up with 4:35 to go.
And I'm not really sure what happened there. That might have been a little bit of a read option where Hammond has the option once he reads the defense, do I want to keep it and run or do I want to hand it off? He and Peth just collided on the play. Neither one of them thought the other was going to take the ball, and they got very lucky on that play.
Kirkman goes in motion. Hammond back to pass now, and now he'll have to just gobble it up as once again Ollie Gay in huge on that right-hand side, comes busting in on the blitz.
Well, it wasn't only Gay, it was McAtee as well. Give both of those two gentlemen credit for that one. McAtee, only a sophomore, and not playing like one there. That was a great defensive play by both those players, just making sure that you keep the always elusive Hammond in check and you bottle him up and bring him down for a loss.
3rd down and 28 after the loss. Big distance now. Have to get all the way into Edmonds Woodway territory in order to get the first down. They're going to try it in one fell swoop. Over at the 50-yard line, it is incomplete.
Ooh.
In and out of the intended receiver's hands.
Well, actually, he did catch it. He stepped on the out-of-bounds line. I was going to say,
okay.
Great play by Riley Johnson to keep that ball in his sights. Had the defense turned around, it was just one of those plays where he was just straddling that sideline, would have been short by 3 yards, so it would have been an interesting call if Lynwwood had to make that decision on 4th and 3. But give Johnson a lot of credit, but give Edmonds Woodway credit in knowing where that first down marker is and just saying, you know what, if you're going to catch it, you're not going to get a first down.
And once again, similar territory, trying to get the right personnel on the field. Had 12 men on for a while. A tough snap. And that one will hit the ball carrier, picked up at the 45-yard line, and Lynwwood will regain possession. Very, very heads-up play by Bryce Milne. He's had a couple tonight.
An interception earlier, and now he's got the fumble recovery. There is a penalty marker down. However, they're going to get Edmonds Woodway for running into the kicker, so they'll just decline that and take the ball right where it is.
No question on that call.
And Keith, I'll be honest, I was watching the roughing the kicker, so at that point I just figured, okay, this play doesn't really matter anyway. It looked to me out of the corner of my eye, did Nash dive at that ball?
He slipped.
Okay.
Dove at it, but slipped at the same time, trying to pounce on the football. And I don't know if it hit a Warrior ahead of that. But at that point in time, you just get out of the way.
Absolutely. If you're Nash, I mean, again, it may not have touched him, but if it was in fact him and it was his hand, when you know that you're slipping, that's not a live ball on a punt. It's not a kickoff. Let it go. You might lose your team some yardage, but you know what? You maintain possession.
So now the 13-7 and the ball, an advantage with the lead and the leather. It turns tide in a hurry, so they'll mark off the penalty.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I would have said it was either or, not.
That's what I would have thought.
Not both.
I guess the fact that it's a personal foul, essentially, is something that you still get the yardage from regardless. I would have thought on a play like that, being that it happened on the other side of the field, that wasn't the case, but we're wrong.
Usually we think of big plays as interceptions and 30-yard, 40-yard passes. That was as big a play as you're going to see in this football game right there. Huge play, huge result. And Lynwwood will pick up the first down on their 30-yard line, and now a run off the right-hand side by Peth will make it 2nd down and 11, actually a loss of a yard on the play.
And if Lynwwood can go down and score on this drive, that's going to be a huge momentum swing. Edmonds Woodway with the last 13 points. They've really started to stymie this Lynwwood offense. They were getting ready to get the ball back again, and to give Lynwwood the ball inside their 35, that's a huge mistake.
And now a timeout as Lynwwood wants to talk things over with 2:56 to play here in the half. 13-7, Warriors over Royals. We'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network. Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Talking this one over, and neither one of us seeing it exactly cleanly, Steve, on that punt. And I would have to go back and look at it, but I believe it might have hit a Warrior before Nash, his desperation dive, which of course was.
Sometimes easier said than done, but if you are a player covering on a punt, or if you're a player blocking, you need to know that that ball might be kicked short, and you need to know that you have to get out of the way.
So now 2nd down and a blow up in the backfield. Holy smoke, 2 Warriors diving in there.
Well, that one was on the center. They had Hammond in shotgun formation. The ball came in at his feet. Wasn't able to field it cleanly. Finally picked it up, and at that point, he had the Warriors crashing in on him. So he just said, you know what, I'll dive forward and see what I can do. Salvaged a little bit.
Well, there's definitely some collision. A couple of knock-knock jokes down there in the bottom of the pile. 3rd down and 13 to go with 2:24. And now we'll have another timeout. That's their 2nd timeout, so we'll stay right here on the Sound Live Sports Network.
I'm going to give Lynwwood a nice shout-out right now, too. I like seeing all that pink out there. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am the son of a breast cancer survivor, so I always like seeing these young folks supporting a great cause. And Lynwwood, there's more than 1 or 2 of them out there, too. About half that team out there wearing pink in some way, shape, or form, whether it be on the feet, stirrups, gloves. It's looks kind of good with the black and gold, quite frankly. I like the look.
You know, it's the pink hankies. When the referees have those are easy to see. It's when they do the male side of things and the prostate cancer awareness that when they do those light blue ones against the green,
right.
I really struggle.
Good point. I didn't think about that, but we did have pink hankies out here last year for a while, and I haven't seen them yet tonight. I was going to say this week, but this is the first Friday October games we've covered.
So Lynwood back to pass on the screenplay. Great play call, but it does not quite pan out as well as they had hoped with the pass intended for the running back Peth.
And Keontae Bankhead, the head coach of Lynwwood, was very upset with his team right before the snap. He sensed that he didn't have, I don't know if it was, I think it was the right personnel, just not the right formation. He was starting to yell at some of the players, and by then Hammond had taken the snap. So really from the get-go, that play was doomed, and yeah, no gain.
4th down, and I think you got to really take a look at the wide receiver in Johnson. Keep an eye out for Riley, number 21. Back to pass is Hammond. Looks downfield under some pressure. Now we'll fire it short. That time did have a man in the area in Bryce Milne. But that will be another turnover and down. So very good field position for the Royals. They end up losing a couple of yards on the drive. And with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go here in the first half of play, Edmonds Woodway will finally get the ball back about where they would have had it in the first place after the drop punt.
Very good point. Hey, give a lot of credit to the Edmonds Woodway DBs on that play. That was a coverage play right there, and Hammond, who is left-handed, had to roll out to his right and throw across his body, and by then he couldn't get enough on the ball to get it downfield.
There's another play and about cross midfield. And I don't know, was that Reinford?
No,
I don't think that was Reinford. The announcer said Reinford. That was Graydon Herron once again.
That was just I-back formation. Herron from the fullback spot, just taking it right up the middle and finding a lot of space with it.
Oh, he's got some explosion out of that fullback spot. Normally,
looks great tonight.
Blocking all the time. This time, some missed tackles will give Reinford some yardage. And finally, the play blown dead, but a penalty marker is down around the 40-yard line inside Lynwood territory.
That play could have been a lot worse for Edmonds Woodway, too. Isaac Jackson and Tyler Reinford collided as they handed the ball to one another, or as Jackson handed it to Reinford. Tyler was able to spin off and still pick up some yards.
So we've got a personal foul, a knock to the face or knock to the helmet, hand to the helmet by the Lynwood Royals. So that will be an automatic first down. And with 1:48 to go, head coach John Gradwall has to like where he's sitting right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, 7-0 early in the game, and Lynwood really looked like they were taking over. And if Edmonds Woodway can put another score on the board before the end of the half and go in there with a good 20, 21 points in a row, yeah, look out for them to take over this game in the second half possibly.
Edmonds Woodway is going to be winded going up to the line after where they huddled at the 40-yard line. Now have to run all the way down to their opposition 30. Back to pass in the shotgun goes Jackson. Looks deep. Has a man well deep, but well covered also. And 2 defensive backs fighting for it. End up knocking it clear. Intended receiver was David Woodard.
David Woodard might have been the intended receiver, but Bryce Milne, if he had had a little bit of, I don't know, if he'd had a third hand that was coming out of his face mask there, he would have had his second pick of the night. That one hit him right smack in the middle of the face mask, and if he's able to pull that one down, that would have been huge for Lynwood.
Sure would have.
Gives Edmonds another opportunity, though.
Riley Johnson playing a little defense on his own man there, Milne. 1:25 to go here in the half. Second down and 10 with the ball on the 20-yard line. Now under center goes at Isaac Jackson. He'll hand the ball off to Herron straight away, and I love the way that young man is running downhill right now. Herron is about 6-7 yards at a pop.
Yeah, and this is the third game I've covered for them this year, and I don't know, I mean, you've seen him a lot more than I have over the last 2 years. This is as good as I've seen Herron look.
Right about a minute. Here's the bootleg on the rollout. Goes Jackson to his right, has a man open, throws it behind him, incomplete. Trying to get it to Herron.
And that was close to being another interception. He threw it a little bit behind him, and Heron trying to reach back, got his hand on it, and that's often when you see a ball get deflected up into the air, and when you had 2 or 3 defenders kind of waiting behind Heron on that play, that could have been disastrous. So Edmonds Woodway close to throwing 2 interceptions on the last 2 plays. See what they can do on 4th and 4.
A couple of opportunities squandered here in the last couple of drives by both teams. And now we'll see what Edmonds Woodway can do, and they'll drop the ball as Isaac Jackson cannot figure out where the ball is coming out of the center. And on downs, Edmonds Woodway will turn around and give it back to Lynwood. So in the last 4 drives, a punt, a drop punt, downs and downs. Not quite the way you want to go into the locker room at halftime.
No, but I think they'll still be happy and content with they'd rather have the larger lead, obviously. But after, like I said, that first quarter, the fact that they've come out and made a little bit of a statement in the second quarter, even if you didn't get the 20 or the 21 points you could have had, you still have to feel pretty good knowing that you've been able to put up the 13 here. Now you just need to make sure you don't make that one crucial error to end the half.
Alton Hammond in the shotgun formation, back to pass. Tries to come out of the pocket, finally is flushed out. Now he'll turn it up and run. And a stiff arm will knock one tackler to the ground. Wow.
That might have been the stiff arm of the year right there at the high school level. That was unbelievable. Xander Hall Spikuza, am I saying that right?
Linebacker.
He's 5'10", 170, and Hammond just ragdolled him down to the ground like he weighed 120.
And picks up 5 yards on a busted play. 2nd down and 5 to go with the ball on the 30. 42 seconds remaining in the half. Again, in the shotgun formation, Hammond will take the snap. Looks to his left and right, and then once it's caught, finally caught by Peth, the slam is on. No gain.
Yeah, and guess who? That was Xander on that play. So I think
a little payback.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, your pride gets damaged a little bit. You get a little fired up, and you think, you know what? I'm going to make a statement on the next play. He did.
Everybody out to receive now. Have a wide open man downfield at the 50-yard line. Caught once again. Caught by Riley Johnson, and he has some hands. Very aware out there in traffic.
He's very aware, and Edmonds Woodway, 2 players came in, and rather than trying to contain him, knowing that there's only about 13 seconds left on the clock, they almost made the hugest mistake there. You let him make the catch right now. I mean, they're not that close to the goal line. We're running out of time.
Keep bodies in front of you.
Exactly. You do not want to gamble right now, and that's exactly what the Warriors did. 2 of their players went in there, missed him. Fortunately, there was a 3rd one waiting behind him. If he's not there, we might be looking at a tie game, or Lynwwood might be ahead right now.
Very interesting 3A South Division right now. Of course, we talked about it off the top in the open about how Glacier Peak, the Grizzlies, really heads above the rest of the competition right now, although Mount Lake Terrace has a date with them next Friday night, and that one could be interesting with a 4-1 Mount Lake Terrace against the undefeated Grizzlies. You have to look there next week as the game of the week to watch if you want to see some good high school football.
Certainly for 3A South, absolutely. There's a bigger game in Monroe next week against Lake Stevens,
right.
But it's another story. But yeah, Mount Lake Terrace is kind of a strange team. They're 4-1, but they've had some very close games. Glacier Peak, however, they've been blowing everybody out. So I'll be curious to see how the Hawks can stack up against the Grizzlies.
4 receivers, back to pass is Hammond. He'll look downfield, has 2 deep. Going up and catching the football is Edmonds Woodway, and intercepted the 2nd time Hammond has been intercepted tonight. Noah Becker, the left cornerback, with the pick, and 6 seconds remain for Edmonds Woodway. So 2 turnovers, both interceptions.
I'm trying to remember, did Becker have 2 interceptions in that game last week? I know he had at least one.
He had one.
I think he might have even had a second or came awfully close. So does a nice job of playing that center field position, knowing that the ball's coming downfield with such little time left. Just positioned himself well.
Found his spot.
Came down with a pick.
Popped right up in the air. Caught the football. So now Edmonds Woodway with really 1 play with 6 seconds to go. The last thing you need now is a fumbled snap, or everything has got to be sure at this point. Sure on your snap count, sure on your handoffs. And there's the Heron run through the middle into some daylight. And if this time the clock has any more timeout at Edmonds Woodway, we'll be again driving down the field at will. But the clock will expire, and Edmonds Woodway will head into the locker room up 6 over the Lynnwood Royals by a score of 13-7. And we'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network and come back with the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show in just a moment.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
(13-7) the halftime score between the Edmonds Woodway Warriors and the Lynwood Royals. I was going to mention the other scores around the Wesco today. And then the early matchup here on the Action Jackson halftime program. The Mount Lake Terrace Hawks in dramatic fashion coming back from behind to beat the Shorecrest Scots 30-26 after being down 20-0. Outscoring the Scots 30-6 in the final two frames. Mariner, the Marauders 28-7 over Jackson at the half. Snohomish over Mount Vernon right now in 4A 14-0. Lake Stevens in cruise control. An unofficial final 48-0 over the Bruins of Cascade. And that Lake Stevens train, that just keeps on cooking down the tracks. That's going to be a tough one to stop.
What was the final there?
48-0.
Yeah, they've scored over 40 points in each game. And if the fans out there want to go and watch a big-time quarterback some night, Jacob Eason is the real deal. He is going to Georgia next year, one of the top 5 or 10 recruits in the nation at his position, and he's legit. Big-time arm.
And down at Shoreline Stadium, Meadowdale holding on to a late fourth quarter lead right now, 24-21. So the Meadowdale trying to, I don't know if they have a starting quarterback back from injury yet or not.
No, Tingsted, I think it was a broken arm, so I'm guessing he's out for, if not the season, a while. And hey, good for them to get back on their feet if they are going to pull that game out. That's a Shorewood team that I've been impressed with. I mean, a hard luck team at that. They lost their season opener in double overtime up at Everett. I think the final score was 36-35, so essentially it was on a botched PAT or a missed 2-point conversion, whatever it was. And then they lost last week against Shorecrest, 14-12, a game that Shorewood scored a touchdown late, went for 2 to tie it, didn't get the 2-point conversion there either, and lost. So those are their 2 losses, or 2 of their losses this year, and might be going down for a hard luck game for the third time.
Right now. Yeah, and of course right here we've got a 13-7 score at Edmonds District Stadium, and a game that we've seen a lot of really good things and a lot of really sloppy things. I mean, there's been really, really good drives. That second Lynwwood drive, it didn't look like anything was going to stop the Lynwwood offense the rest of the game after you and I watched them drive almost the length of the field and score easily.
Yeah, using the big fellas, too, to get down the field. It was Hammond, it was Peth, it was Kirkman, just almost unstoppable. And then all of a sudden, they went down there, they scored that 7, and I've got to give Edmonds Woodway a lot of credit. We talked about it after that score. They need to make adjustments now, and apparently they've done so, because really Lynwwood just looks out of sync on offense ever since.
That drive 63 yards in 8 plays, with Lynwwood starting on their own 37-yard line to make it 7-0. Edmonds Woodway then would start on their own 4 after an unfortunate set of circumstances, and then gets about midfield and throws an interception. One of back-to-back interceptions, because Lynwwood turned around right after that 5 plays later and threw a pick of their own. And then Edmonds Woodway went to work after it looks like they were struggling on offense, really not being able to put any sustained drives together. Managed to put a drive together that was highlighted, I thought, by the Heron 52-yard screen pass.
Yeah, and Heron is playing himself a whale of a game. I mean, and he's getting it done different ways, too. Screen pass for 52 yards. He's had a couple of runs right up the middle for 20 yards or more, in which he's just taken it out of the good old-fashioned fullback I formation. Get into the hole. If you find a little space, go with it. And that's what he's done. And boy, I mean, his line has given him some opportunities, but he's making the most of it. And for a fullback, I mean, he really moves well once he gets into the open field.
Yeah, and case in point, the last play of the half there, Heron took it right up the middle on everybody. I think in the stands knew what was coming. And he managed to get all the way to midfield, about 40 yards right there in one giant chunk. So Heron, I don't have the numbers. I don't have the stats in front of us, but I think leader in the clubhouse as far as rushing yards.
Well, and not only rushing yards, but again, the 52-yard catch. So we know he's got over 100 yards all-purpose from the line of scrimmage. It's probably closer to 120, 130 right now. He's having a nice game.
And then 2 drives later, after Lynwwood was forced to punt it away on their own 16-yard line, a bit of a snafu, and we're still a little unsure as to exactly what happened. But Edmonds Woodway was given the ball on downs, and one play, as soon as they were able to pretty much unravel the pile in the no-huddle offense, Edmonds Woodway comes in there, one play, hand the ball right to Tyler Reinford, and he puts up his second touchdown of the evening.
Yeah, and second touchdown in about 90 seconds. So it really, your offense, not only did they not give the defense much of a chance to take a break and to readjust, but they send them out. They're back onto the field a moment or two later, and are only giving the opposing team 16 yards to go to pay dirt, and Edmonds Woodway did it in one play. So
2 touchdowns back-to-back and a couple of interceptions between the Lynwwood touchdowns. So you probably had 3 or 4 really nice drives inside about 6-7 minutes of play. That can't be what the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't talk much about the last 6 drives at all.
No.
Punt, drop punt, downs, and an interception. And then finally running out the half was Edmonds Woodway. So as well as things started in the second quarter for E-Dub, nobody really wants to put an exclamation mark on this ball game. Not yet.
They don't, and both teams, I think, are probably in the locker room right now. In some regards, they're both frustrated. In some regards, they're both feeling pretty good about things. I mean, if you're Lynwwood, you're frustrated because you had them against the ropes early on in the game. You went up 7-0 and had momentum, and you let them come back into the game and jump on you with those two quick
and you were
touchdowns.
given a gift right before the half.
Right, but that's what I was going to say. That's the flip side of that is that they're feeling good about the fact that it's only 13-7, but they also know that it could be a lot worse right now. So from that standpoint, they're thinking, okay, you know what? We should be down 21-7 right now. We're down by 6. Let's come back out, do what we did in the first quarter, and regain momentum. Now, if you're Edmonds Woodway, you're also feeling kind of mixed emotions. You're in one regard, you're feeling pretty good that you're ahead because after that first quarter, it didn't look like you were going to be able to catch them by the end of the half, or it looked like Lynwwood might even go up more than they were. But at the same time, if you're Edmonds Woodway, you're also frustrated because you think you could be up by even more. I mean, your second quarter was so dominant, and you put yourself in position to have more points than you did and to only have 13 on the board and to let Lynwwood stick around in this game and feel like they've got a chance when you could have essentially really stuck it to them and made them, have to come out here and come back from 2 scores or more. Now they're only down by 6, and I think from a motivational standpoint, it is hope, and that's exactly what you've given them.
And a little bit of an interesting change of philosophy from last week to this week for the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. We saw Isaac Jackson air the ball out a lot last week against the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks. This week, aside from that big screenplay, really have not seen anything from the arm of Isaac Jackson. It's mostly been the running back tandem of Heron and Reinford.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's what the defense is giving them right now. Now, it's a little bit misleading because in that first quarter, Lynwwood ate up so much of that clock on their second drive. Edmonds Woodway had a quick, I was going to say 3 and out, but I think they did have 1 or 2 first downs,
two
right?
first downs.
And then Lynwwood just put together a nice
plays.
7-8 minute drive, and so by the time we were into the mid-second quarter, it felt like Isaac wasn't throwing much, but then again, they weren't on the field a whole lot. And you know what? You can't really argue with the successes. I mean, the fact that Heron is picking up big yardage in huge chunks, the fact that Reinford, when he is carrying the ball, he's moving the ball nicely as well. And for all intents and purposes, Edmonds Woodway should have more points off the running game. They've just made a couple mistakes, so Isaac hasn't had to throw the ball much yet. Now, if Lynwwood starts to kind of figure things out a little bit and they start putting 7 or 8 in the box, that's when we get to see if it's Isaac Jackson from last week, or is it Isaac Jackson who, threw 3 interceptions against Kamiak and threw 3 interceptions against Meadowdale that comes back out here. If he's the Isaac Jackson from last week, boy, we talked about it during the podcast this week and on the radio show that we do up at KRKO. I wasn't just a little bit impressed with what I saw out of Isaac last week. I mean, he was 15 of 19, and I can recall at least 2 of the incomplete passes as being drops. Jalen had a drop.
For a touchdown,
right in his hand. Isaac threw it perfectly, and Jalen's a great receiver, so I'm not knocking him at all, but Isaac should have had that one on his record as being a completion. And then Woodard had a drop too, so Isaac really played a flawless game, and if he can keep putting together moments like that, which we know he's capable of doing, and cut down on the plays like the interception that he threw to Milne earlier, where he just basically...
Or the near one to Milne on the other end.
Yeah, and then the very next play he almost threw another one. If Isaac can cut those down and just keep the errors to a minimum, he's just as good as any quarterback we have in this division right now.
Conversely, you would think that with the high power, the high caliber running game that Lynwwood has, those big beefy boys in the backfield, that they wouldn't be throwing the ball as much as we've seen, and it really, the success that Lynwwood has been the combination of the Alton Hammond arm and the receiving talent of Riley Johnson.
And Lynwood's, that's puzzling to me. They had so much success in that first quarter, and it's almost as though they came out in the second quarter, Edmonds Woodway shut them down for 2 or 3 plays, and rather than go, okay, you know what, let's just keep working it because we know we can do this. We've already had success with it. It was almost as though Coach Bankhead and his staff just said, you know what, after 2 or 3 plays, the running game isn't working. We need to start airing it out, and I'm surprised we didn't see more run from them, knowing that they had so much success in that first quarter.
Well, we're going to put another 12 minutes on the clock here in moments as the teams come out and start their second half warm-ups on the Sound Live Sports Network. Again, the score at the half, 13-7, Edmonds Woodway over Lynwwood. We'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
A week from tonight, Shorecrest on the docket for the Edmonds Woodway Warriors homecoming. 5 o'clock, the early game here at Edmonds District Stadium. And we'll be there on the Sound Live Sports Network with the call. And Lynwwood will be right here also the late game against the Meadowdale Mavericks. So an away game for Lynwood at Meadowdale. Trying to stay alive there in the Wesco 3A South, having been winged a bit by their loss of their starting quarterback, Tingstad, going down with a broken arm, you said, in practice a week before last week's ball game.
Yeah, just a couple days before the game, so they didn't really have much time to adjust, and quite frankly, it showed. I mean, they did not look good at all against the Grizzlies last week right here on this field. It was 45-0. I know Meadowdale was missing, I think, 4 other starters as well in that game.
I heard that too.
So I don't know if those players were back or not. Tyler Ruby, their starting middle linebacker, ended up having an injury that knocked him out for the season. So that's a wounded team, and the fact that we just noted that they're beating Shorewood right now, 24-21 in the fourth quarter, a little bit of a surprise for me. I thought Shorewood was going to win that game. So if Meadowdale can pull that off, they're still sitting with only, I believe it's 1 loss in the conference, right? Or is it?
All right, well, Glacier
Peak. 2 now, I'm sorry. They lost to Glacier Peak and Mount Lake Terrace.
Yeah.
So really, if they can pull off that game, they stay within range of that, at least the number 2 seed. And one of these teams here tonight is going to come away with another victory and be 2-1 in conference play. Mount Lake Terrace 3-1. There's a long ways to go.
It's a log jam at number 2, and of course trying to go out and knock the Kings of the Hill off the plateau next week. The Hawks will travel up to Glacier Peak.
I might have to note what Bellevue did tonight. They defeated Glacier Peak 24-6.
That's Bellevue.
Bellevue, yeah, that is definitely Bellevue, yeah. Touche.
And now a little corner coffin kick will go out of bounds in a penalty flag. They will re-kick this one. Got down there near the end line with a couple of white jerseys staring at it, and that's where the coaches get a little cranky if you get somebody over there a little too close and think they're going to pick that up before it rolls out of bounds.
Yeah, interesting kick there, because if you're Edmonds Woodway, you have to pursue it a little bit just in case it stays in bounds. Fortunately for them, it did end up rolling out, but it was one of those balls that, again, it goes back to we're playing on an artificial surface, and if that ball bounces just wrong, you never know.
So Edmonds Woodway will take the ball at the 35-yard line to start their first drive of the second half. Isaac Jackson under center will turn and hand the ball off to Heron, and why not? Success. We'll look for a little more of it. Boy, he pops right. He is an enthusiastic runner, but as soon as he's down, he's probably the first one back to the huddle too. Heron wasting no time bouncing up.
He's young. He should be able to, right? I like the enthusiasm from him. That's a good way to play the game. That's what you want.
Aaron right behind Jackson in the I formation. Nash on the far side, Woodard on the near side, and Tyler Reinford in that halfback spot will take the ball. Goes around the left-hand side and gets the first down still on his feet, and had some daylight but had to do a tightrope walk at midfield and out of bounds.
We have another injury here from the Royals right along the sideline here. That's number 60 getting up slow. Aaron Gaines, the big fella, 5'11", 240.
You say big fella a lot. I mean, you look down here, there are so many 200 digits on this Lynwood roster.
When you got 3 guys in the backfield that are over 200, you better be a big fella if you're going to be blocking
Playing,
for them.
playing
right?
up front.
You don't want to be 175 and having your running backs be bigger than you.
First down and 10 near midfield, the Warriors. And the ball off to Heron on the counter, gets escaped through the 40-yard line, tripped up at the 35. And that young man has got to be over 10 yards average a carry, or at least close.
Doing a great job tonight. We can't say enough. It's the same thing that we were talking about in the first half, only more of it now. And Riley Johnson, by the way, great job to get around his ankles and to hold on for a nice ride to bring him down.
Hand off again to Reinford. He'll chew off 15 yards and get another first down. So back-to-back 15-yarders. Edmonds Woodway looking like the second Lynwood drive of the game, where they're just marching down the field, handoff after handoff after handoff, with nobody having an answer on defense, Steve.
Yeah, the whatever Gradwell said at halftime, say more of it. It's working.
Once again, near the 10-yard line, this time only a 7-yard pickup. Ho-hum.
I like that. It's kind of a little back and forth right now. Heron, then you go Reinford, Heron, Reinford. One of them gets a little breather. The other one goes off for 8 or 10, 20 yards a pop and keep the ball moving, right?
Second down and 3. Same formation, and why not? This time it's Reinford right up the middle, near the line to gain. I think he'll be just short. And they will mark him a yard short, so third down and 1 with the ball on the 9-yard line. So you get the first down here, and if history says anything, Heron's going to get the ball over the right side. Watching this drive.
If we're keeping with the every other theme, it's got to be Heron, right?
9:47 to go. And no, Reinford with the carry. He'll get the first down and then some near the goal line, but short. It'll be a first down on the 2 with Tyler Reinford picking up a huge first down for Edmonds Woodway. And you can split this drive straight down the middle between the two backs. And I'd be surprised if you don't reward Heron's efforts right here with a chance. And no, it'll be Reinford into the end zone. Touchdown, Edmonds Woodway.
It's the hat trick right there, the third one of the night for Reinford.
Reinford from the 4 has been responsible for all the scoring, but the setup man, you've got to tip your hat to. It's almost like getting the double play time and time again. Shortstop, the second baseman. Heron to Reinford.
Who's getting the basket and who's getting the assist, right? It's the Gary Payton versus the Sean
Kemp.
Right,
whatever sport you want to mark it next to, and there is the PAT. It is good, and we have a 20-7 ball game. Edmonds Woodway with the first score in the first drive of the second half. We'll take a break with 9:23 to go on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
65-yard drive, and the third Reinford touchdown makes it 7-20. Long kick by Stevenson near the goal line. It's fielded there and will be taken out to the 20, 22, 25 finally. A penalty flag may increase that, but a great carry from the goal line by Peth. an apt running back, but a nice job on the return as a return man also. Personal foul against Edmonds Woodway for diving into the pile, spearing call.
And the referee pointed to his head as though somebody might have made contact illegally with the helmet. And that's never a good thing. That'll always cost you 15 yards.
Yeah, not only that, but great field position now. Instead of first and down at the 23-ish, it'll be first and 10 with the ball on the 42. So Lynwwood will start with excellent field position. With 9 minutes to play here, third quarter. So very efficient drive, even though it was all runs, not a single pass play by the Edmonds Woodway team in that last drive that I can think of. I'm trying to run my mind backwards. I don't think they did. But to only give up 3 minutes, not even that, 2 minutes and 40 seconds on a drive, all runs.
Well, two things, you're picking them up in big chunks, and also you're still going with that no huddle for the most part. They did start huddling once they got inside the 10, but before that it was boom, boom, boom.
A pickup of 5. And now the handoff. Peth will get another maybe a yard on the carry. Michael Squires on the stop for Edmonds Woodway. Will bring up a 3rd down and 4 situation right about midfield, close to the midfield stripe for Lynwwood.
And boy, the way the time is ticking away here and the way Lynwwood has struggled, you almost wonder if you do get held here, are we in four down territory for the Royals right now?
It might be. And now a little shake and bake right into the middle of the pile, and it will be over the mid-line stripe. But Hammond keeps the ball and gets close, and here's the answer to your question, Steve. You're going to find out.
We're going to find out very quickly, and that's why I'm a little bit baffled with Lynwwood right there. That was what was working in the first quarter. To me, when you have 3 guys in the backfield that big and are that agile, don't go away from your game plan that quickly. You can stick with it right now. There's plenty of time left.
4th down, they will go for it. Here's the handoff, and it will be, I think he was down short, Steve.
Yeah, it looks like he did come up about a yard short. Just the dive right up the middle. A little interesting call there. I thought maybe with a couple of yards they might try to roll something out a little bit or let Hammond keep it, but they went with the dive and it didn't quite work out. And Edmonds Woodway already up by 13, and now they've got the ball right at midfield.
3rd time Lynwwood has turned the ball over on downs tonight. And right at midfield gives an outstanding field position opportunity for the Warriors. Royals with some big boys up front. We've talked about it on that offensive line. 6 foot 215 for Katuk. Junkin, 6'1", 235. Gaines, 5'11", 240. Morales, 5'11", 280. And the center, Laban, 6'3", 265. And more of the same on the carry. Reinford with 6 yards. 5, we'll give him 5.
We talked about Edmonds Woodway not throwing in that last possession, and why would you right now, right? The way they're running the ball, Lynwwood doesn't have an answer, and you're eating up clock, you're moving the ball down the field, you're picking up points, everything you want to do in the second half of a ball game with a lead.
Isaac Jackson, the Sound Live Sports Network, the Adrenaline Sports fundraising player of the game, and the Herald player of the game, or player of the week last week. And now we've got a penalty and some collision and maybe some frustration being shown now. Lynwwood trying to get any advantage they can. That time, pretty obvious mistake.
Yeah, when you're having trouble tackling and you're already not able to stop the offensive team, the last thing you want to do is give them free yards. It almost feels like they're getting free yards anyway, regardless each time they take a handoff. But to give them 5 without having to even snap the ball, that's not what you want if you're the Royals.
1st down also. So 1st down and 10 with the ball on the 41-yard line of Lynwwood. The blitz is on. They'll hand the ball up straight away. It's Heron with the carry. And once again, shoulders the first carry on 1st down. I think he's been the 1st down pick the majority of the evening. Give it to Heron on 1st down. Make 2nd down much, much easier for your tailback. And now finally back to pass on the bootleg out to his right. Goes Jackson, looks deep, has a man open, and Woodard incomplete. Got a paw on it, but outstanding defense that time by Riley Johnson, who had matched him step for step the entire way. And of course, Mill got over there for some extra protection.
Yeah, nice job by the DBs, making sure that was not a touchdown. And hey, why not? If you're Coach Gradwell, keep the defense honest a little bit. You've got everybody thinking time and time again you're going to run it. You've got a great quarterback. You've got some solid receivers. And it's second and short. You might as well take a shot at the end zone.
Woodard did a great job of just getting the paw up on it toward the back of the end zone. Now here's the handoff to Reinford. Gets stopped for a moment. Now he'll bounce it outside down to the 20-yard line, still on his feet. 15-10. Finally will take it out. Well, they mark him back up at the 11. So 11-yard line and a first down for Reinford.
That's good running back instincts right there. You don't see that very often at this level. A running back who runs into a pile of players, a lot of times they just figure, okay, at that point, fall down, take what you've got. But Reinford did a nice job of keeping his feet, put on the brakes, let the play kind of surround him, and then he just cut out to the outside and picked up another 10 yards.
Interior handoff. Reinford straight into the pile. Picks up 5. And right now, you've got to be a little bit frustrated if you're Lynwwood.
I think you're more than a little frustrated. I think you are extremely frustrated.
There's no answer.
They don't have anything right now. I mean, a good play for them right now is a 7 or 8 yard gain.
Second down and 5. Here's the pitch wide. Mauling on the outside. Touchdown, Reinford, number 4. And that was completely set up on the left-hand side by the blocking of Graydon Heron. Heron took out that outside linebacker, that end coming in with protect.
I'm not even sure Reinford was touched on that play. That was just a
then he continued to block. I think Heron picked up three blocks in that touchdown run. And that's playing team ball right there. There's Stevenson once again with the PAT. And it'll make it 27-7 with 5:25 to go third quarter. Suddenly, a blossoming lead for Edmonds Woodway. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
Welcome back. Edmonds Woodway with a blossoming lead. And they've done so via the running game and the tandem backfield. Ball under the wind now. It's got the flag pretty stiff in the northeast corner of the Edmonds District Stadium. And the kick is away. 5:25 to go, hauled in at the 2. And a big play needed by Lynwwood. They don't have to do it here at the kickoff, but they're going to have to find some magic somewhere with the way this offense for Edmonds Woodway is rolling right now.
Yeah, and it starts with their own offense, and they just need to get something sustained right now. I mean, they've picked up a first down here and there, but really it's 1 or 2 first downs and kick or turn it over on fourth down, and they just look out of sync. And I'm just, like I said, I'm baffled because they look so strong in the first quarter. And again, you have to give Edmonds Woodway's defense a lot of credit for making the adjustments, but it's just the Lynwwood offense is kind of it's very questionable right now.
Back to pass over the middle, caught. And that's a decent way to get things started. Bryce Milne on the catch. And the junior will pick up the first down for Lynwood. And maybe you're going to start going through the air. Riley Johnson certainly had his success tonight. You get Milne involved. Start spreading that defense out.
Well, and as the clock continues to tick away, at some point you don't have a choice. I mean, if you're down by 3 touchdowns, you can't really put together a 9 or a 10-minute drive. You don't have time.
Kirkman now will go in motion. Now here's the handoff to Peth, and a loss of a yard. And again, that interior handoff that worked so well in the first quarter of play is being snuffed out every single time by Edmonds Woodway defense.
Well, especially when they're running it up the middle. I mean, Ali Gay and some of the other folks there in the front, they're just not giving any ground right now. I mean, whenever they go between the center and guard or guard tackle, it's just getting stuffed.
Michael Swires doing an outstanding job in the interior. That time run right by Swires, but we've called his name 2 or 3 times here in the last quarter, making great tackles for loss. And now another third down, and I think the third down conversion rate has certainly been a concern for Lynwood. We'll see if they can do anything here. 3rd and 6.
And once again, if you get 3 or 4 yards here, do you go for it? Or are you at that point in the game? Saw what happened last time. It didn't work out very well for the Royals.
Hammond back to pass. Will tuck it up and under, and has a little bit of running room on the outside. Schultz giving pursuit and finally knocked out of bounds, but it should be a first down. They will give Hammond the first down.
And that's what Hammond does well right there. He's able to recognize very quickly, I don't have a play downfield. I've got to pick up this yardage somehow. I've got 2 great legs. I've got the ability to run. Let's go do it myself, and that's what he did.
Riley Johnson being so open and often in the first half. The Edmonds Woodway defensive backs not giving Hammond any target practice in the second. But the drive is still alive, and there's the big play through the middle into the defensive backs, a pickup of 20 yards. And Bradley Peth with the big carry all the way down to the Edmonds Woodway 35-yard line, 36-yard line.
Well, if you're Lynwood, this is what you wanted. Not only do you need a drive in which you can get down the field and score, you need to do it relatively quickly. They're not wasting a lot of time right now.
Hammond will call the signals, has that right hand glove. The lefty will now have to tuck it up, and once again has a man open, caught, and in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. And a big pop applied on Cody Diamond, the receiver.
Anthony Lindemann just unloaded on Diamond on that play. Diamond was in the right place to make a catch, but when you get hit that hard, it's hard to hold on to the ball, and that's what happened.
Lynwwod, that right cornerback, coming over in pursuit in the middle of the field and applied the pop. 2nd down and 10. Again, Kirkman will go in motion, leaving Peth with the handoff and blitzing into the backfield, nowhere to run to, and a loss of 8.
Yeah, Jada doing a great job as well as Schultz on that play. The 4s all over the field, number 44 and number 4, both getting into that backfield and making sure there was no room to run.
Yeah, the full house blitz, and they mark it down. The whistle had blown earlier than the ball carrier was dropped, so a loss of 5 will bring up 3rd and 15. And now all the wide receivers will head downfield. Going for long ball, picked off. And now heading the other way is Becker once again. It's Lynwwod.
Lynwwod, yeah.
He's having a heck of a series here.
Yeah, 2 nice plays and three different plays there for him. Lynwwod playing a little center field himself, picking that ball off, and does a nice job to get it up the field.
So the 3rd interception of the ball game. The 4th interception, the 3rd by Lynwwod. And, of course, we've had plenty of near misses as far as the Edmonds Woodway Warriors go. A couple of dropped interceptions. And do you have a choice now? Who do you hand the ball off to? I don't think there's a question as to what the play is going to be.
Flip a coin and see who you want to give it to.
And it'll be Reinford tripped up in the backfield.
I think Reinford might have hit the feet of one of his own players on that play and kept him from getting even more yardage.
That's a 3-yard pickup on the play.
They'll mark the ball just shy of the 40-yard line with 1:54 to go. Again, we're only in the third quarter. So about 14 minutes of football remain here at Edmonds District Stadium, but Edmonds Woodway showing they have what it takes to manage the clock right now. Great job busting through the middle by none other than Hammond, the quarterback / linebacker.
And give the Royals a little credit here. They're, it'd be easy for them to kind of to lose it right now and pack it in, and they're fighting hard out there. And these last two runs have only picked up 4 yards total for Edmonds Woodway. This is a Royals team that is trying to figure it out and get it together before the end of the night.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure it out fairly quickly. Now back to pass on the rollout as Jackson has plenty of daylight on the far side. Can he turn the corner? He can. First down, tries to cut it back, decides maybe that isn't the best of ideas. He's lucky he didn't get, once he got stood up at midfield, he didn't get a licking applied. But we'll pick up the first down right at the 50-yard line.
A very late flag came in right before the end of the tackle, so I know it wasn't a late hit. I'm not sure who it was on, but it was right around where Jackson made that final cut on the play.
And they're looking back to the Edmonds Woodway bench. And it will be a block in the back, illegal contact. So that will go against the Warriors. And I don't know if it was after the play was a dead ball foul. No, they say third down. They will replay third down and move the ball back with about 4 yards to go. So third down and 4. It was at the spot of the foul.
And if you're Lynwwod and you have any chance of winning this game, you need this stop right now. You're running out of time here in the third quarter with under a minute to go. You're down by 20. You need to get the ball back, and you know what? To keep giving up first downs, it's not the way to do it.
Jackson will go under his center. Reed Friday, the center for Edmonds Woodway, and then the pitch to Reinford. Gets by one tackler, now we'll cut it back, has the first down and then some. Still on his feet, past the 40-yard line. Eludes another tackler, now has some blocking, into the daylight to the 5. Touchdown, Warriors! Number 5 on the night for Tyler Reinford. Holy smoke.
Yeah, I think his long touchdown run coming into this drive was 16 yards. 58 yards will far exceed that.
And my score sheet now pretty much has one name leaping out at you, especially after a 50-yard TD. And as much as you credit Reinford with 5 touchdowns, it's been blocking and very true blocking and continued blocking downfield by the Warriors that has gotten him the money's worth. Wow. 34-7, Edmonds Woodway taking charge with 43 seconds to go, third quarter. We'll take a break. Be right back. Sound Live Sports Network. $34-7. Not what I expected in the second half of this one, to be honest, Steve. It had some peeking out in the second quarter that this might be some teasing going on from Edmonds Woodway, but boy, they've come out of that locker room on fire. God, at the
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think before the game I might have expected this, but once we saw how the game was playing out through the first 24 minutes, I was expecting a little more something from Lynwwood in the second half. Certainly, if nothing else, I thought their defense might tighten up a little bit. And really, Edmonds Woodway, like you said, just getting it done on the ground. And really, it's a team effort right now. Rhineford's getting to get the glory right now with the 5 touchdowns, but it's Herons picking up the yards. It's the offensive line blocking for them. It's a thing of beauty to watch when it's working. And for the second week in a row, Edmonds Woodway putting it together on both offense and defense.
Not quite the excitement buildup. Well, we don't know that. We still have a full 12 minutes to play, plus the 37 seconds here left in the third quarter, but it's going to have to come pretty quickly. Here's the bubble screen. Didn't screen. Incomplete pass for Lynwwood. Second down and 10.
Yeah, and they just do not have anything right now in terms of an answer for how to get by this Edmonds Woodway team. They put together a fairly nice drive, the last possession for a while there, but again, it just at some point it breaks down. They end up turning the ball over, and Edmonds Woodway, once they get it in their hands, Lynwwood doesn't see it again until it's time for a kickoff return.
Twins on the near side, and the keeper, Hammond, dropped. Took 2 steps and right to the turf. That time Spencer Schultz, the middle linebacker, with the stop.
16 seconds and counting. It'd be interesting to see if Lynwwood tries to get off another play before the end of the quarter.
Third down and 10. Or do you really want to, or do you want to take the free time out and talk about your third down? And that's exactly what they'll do. That'll be the end of the third quarter. It's been all Edmonds Woodway in the third, 34-7.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Final stanza, the 12 minutes on the clock in the scoreboard in the south end zone here at Edmonds District Stadium. We're watching the nightcap of second of the doubleheader between the Edmonds Woodway Warriors and the the Lynwwood Royals. 34-7. The Edmonds Woodway Warriors on top. It was the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks with the dramatic win in the early ball game.
So you're saying there's hope for Lynwwood?
Anytime you're watching high school sports, there's hope. There's the screenplay, well designed and bit. Hook, line, and sinker was Edmonds Woodway. Great call, first down for the Royals. And that was an outstanding play call by Bankhead, as almost every single Edmonds Woodway front five bit on that screen.
Well, that's what you want on the screen. You want to suck the defensive line all the way in, let them go right by the offensive line thinking, wow, this is easy. And then all of a sudden you throw that screen pass. By then you've got a whole defensive line in the backfield. You've got 4 big guys ready to block the linebackers in the secondary, and you get positive yards.
Picking off DBs. First down and 10 with the ball on the 36-yard line. And a fumble on the play.
Still on the ground.
And it looked like Abduli Jada was able to slide in there for Edmonds Woodway, but they say Bankhead was able to Hammond actually with the recovery, I believe, falling back down onto the ball. Bankhead with the play call on that last screenplay, the head coach for this Royals team.
One of the greatest football players we've seen come out of the Seattle area in the last 15 or 20 years, too. He would have fallen on that ball if given an opportunity. Made his share of plays for Ballard High School back in the day.
10:53 to go. Back to pass. Hammond looks downfield, caught. Great reception by Riley Johnson, the go-to receiver on this Lynwwood squad.
Threw that one a little low. Johnson had to go down to his knees just to bring it in, and once he did that, Jada made him pay for that as well, so it's going to bring up a 3rd and 8.
Still picked up 7 yards on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and 7. You can bet that Hammond will have his eyes on number 21 in black and gold on this play. He'll be occupying the slot on the far side, trips on that far side. And back to pass, and squirming away. And looking downfield, almost picked off.
Ooh.
Nearly picked off by number 35, Chris Tilbury, the defensive back for Edmonds Woodway. And that'll bring up 4th down. And now again, this interesting decision by Bankhead, Coach Bankhead. What do you do at this point in time? I think it's wise to punt it away. Well, you got a lot of distance between 7 and 34.
You do. Hey, you also have a one of your best athletes as your punter. Riley Johnson has some wheels. Who knows if you're going to try to pull out the stops? What do you have to lose right now? You might want to think about that a little bit.
You got away with a muffed punt return earlier in the ball game. And the punt is away, high into Nash, and falls down, and that's exactly what happened the last time he tried to return a punt, and now comes up a little lame, favoring that left leg. And you're going to have to check your cleats if you're
when that's the last
Mr. Nash.
In a game with 9:55 to go and you're up by 27, Nash has been one of your key offensive players all season long. The last thing you want to do is lose him to an injury here.
And now you've got the timeout on the field. So we'll take a break ourselves as they bring the training staff onto the field. 34-7 Edmonds Woodway with the lead.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
Underway here with the run up the middle, Costa Cooper, I believe, with the carry. So some of the secondary folks in for the Warriors now, some of the younger players. And a new quarterback at the helm. That is Cameron Krall.
Cameron Crowe?
Krall.
Oh, Krall, okay. So it's not the director.
No, not the
That'd
director.
be kind of cool.
So some of the Warriors getting a chance to get some reps in here with 9 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the half, and the ball game in the fourth quarter.
Grayson Fisher getting his first carry of the game on that play too. So everybody's getting into the stat book now.
Grayson Fisher, one of those running backs that plays both ways on the JV, is in every play, gives it his all, and it's nice to see a young man rewarded with some varsity time. Wearing number 2. Out of the backfield for Edmonds Woodway, and he'll get the carry again, this time stuffed in the backfield. An outstanding job. Welcome to varsity football. And that, a big pop by Armani Fulson, the linebacker, only a sophomore, 5'9", 173 pounds.
I'm going to mess this name up, but Frank Gucci also in on the play, number 44, a 5'8", 220-pound sophomore. So goes back to what you were saying earlier. Lynwood with some big fellas on the squad.
Well, and then they're getting their reps in too, down into the depth chart. And a timeout on the field, and we'll stay right here on the Sound Live Sports Network and see if we can't get any updates across the league in the Wesco Conference. Of course, the early ball game and the one you got to call, Steve. The big 30 to 6 outdoing in the second half by Mount Lake Terrace over Shorecrest.
Well, it was 30 to 6 from the first quarter on. It was a 20-0 deficit for Mount Lake Terrace with, well, I guess Shorecrest scored to go up 20-0 with 4 seconds to go in the first quarter. And Mount Lake Terrace really was looking like they were dead in the water. Riley Moore, a 95-yard kickoff return to kind of spark things. And Mount Lake Terrace slowly working their way back into the game. And again, Daniel Johnson, 221 yards receiving on 3 touchdowns.
And
Mount Lake Terrace pulls out a victory that wasn't looking like it was going to go that way for a while.
Mariner 41-7 over the Timberwolves of Jackson. 65-14 Snohomish over Mount Vernon, a final.
Nice job for the Panthers, their first win of the season.
Lake Stevens blanking Cascade 48-0 as the punt is up and away. And this is where you got to be a little dangerous and get away from that football if you're Edmonds Woodway. Going down the Wesco, a couple of scores we're waiting for, although Marysville Pilchuck way out in front of Marysville Getchell in the first half.
The Berry Bowl.
And then Arlington hosting Oak Harbor. We do not have a score there. And then Everett, 23-13 lead over Stanwood, the Spartans in the third quarter. You mentioned the 24-6 Bellevue Glacier Peak game, and that kind of tells you where the Wesco South sits in the Great Pacific Northwest. Of course, Bellevue, an elite program.
I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, it speaks volumes to the strength of the division, quite frankly, because that's a Bellevue team that's playing on a different level than 98% of the teams in the state right now. So to keep them within an 18-point ball game, it's almost a victory in itself. So with the game next week we've got a huge one coming up. Monroe and Lake Stevens. Monroe is probably the only team that can really give Lake Stevens a challenge right now. I mean, in Monroe, a team that we kind of came into the season thinking they were pretty good, they've been dominating teams right now, and they get it done. They've got a great quarterback, Zach Zimmerman. J.J. Jerome, the junior running back, is having a phenomenal year. That could be a fun game to keep your eye on next week as well.
And I don't know if that at Bearcats or is that
it's
up
in
at the
Monroe,
Vikings.
yeah.
That is in Monroe. So just right up the road. And there's a fumble on the play. Edmonds Woodway diving on it.
And Monroe, by the way, led by a name that I think a lot of folks that are football fans around here will know, both college and pro. Michael Bumpus is the first-year head coach. Bumpus was a great wide receiver for Washington State University 10, 12 years ago now, and then he ended up having a very short career, but nonetheless made it to the NFL and played for the Seahawks for, I think, a year or so.
And the final game, the Meadowdale-Shorewood game of unofficial final. Meadowdale finally hanging on by 3, 24-21, awaiting the official results, but on WescoAthletics.com, they've got them down as the final 24-21. Here is the handoff right up the middle. A great job in the second effort by Grayson Fisher. And he will pick up the first down, and that is effort out of that young man, the junior. Keeping the legs churning and the chains moving.
Well, we got a final score on the Berry Bowl now. It was Marysville Pilchuck 49-10 over Getchell. So crosstown rivalry game for those guys. And that's always an interesting game for those fellas. We were talking to Brendan Carson, the head coach of Marysville Pilchuck, the other night. And, that's a school district that doesn't have boundaries, so the kids can kind of choose where they're going. So a lot of the kids played on the same team, not against each other in middle school. And always when you get together with your old buddies, and there's bragging rights on the line forever. So you definitely want to win that game, and Pilchuck gets the victory.
There's a swing out, handoff on the pitch. And it's Fisher once again, turns the end, still has some momentum, still has some daylight, tiptoes along the 25-yard line. And out of bounds for another first down. And just following the stamp on the playbook is Grayson Fisher. Take him left, take him right, take him right up the middle. It seems like Edmonds Woodway is having their way on the running game.
And Fisher taking some notes from what Rhineford and Heron were doing earlier, and it's more of the same right now, just a different uniform number.
First down and 10 with the ball on the 29-yard line. The clock 6:33 to go. And Fisher, again, the carry, will pick up 5. And boy, you may see him taking some reps out of the guys that are ahead of him if he keeps that up.
Be tough to take those reps, though. Those two guys that are ahead of him are awfully special this year. Fortunately for him, he's a junior, so he's going to have some time to run that ball and then some over the next couple of years. But
not quite the stature of the two ahead of him. Fisher, 5'8", 165 pounds. And then, of course, you look at Reinford, still on his feet.
Yeah, great job cutting back after starting to go out to the left a little bit and cuts it into the middle over to the right side. And Fisher, a different element, really, from what...
Little shake and bake.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, he doesn't have the same size, and consequently, he plays a little different ball game, too. It's, Reinford and Heron both more straight up running backs when they're going down the field, and Fisher a little lower to the ground, able to cut a little bit quicker and do things a little differently.
Still has that same drive, though, able to bounce off tackles and keep some forward momentum. This time they'll give it to the fullback into the end zone. Touchdown, Edmonds Woodway. Henry Tillman on the carry will pick up the touchdown. His first of the season. Having been injured most of the offseason and then into the first part of this game, or this conference schedule. And the fullback, Henry Tillman, picks up a touchdown in a game that certainly he'll remember. Awaiting the PAT now. Edmonds Woodway going away with this one. 41-7. The final 5:18. When we come back on the Sound Live Sports Network, Edmonds Woodway 41, Lynwwood 7. .518 remain in the ball game, but really the second half has been the ball game, and it's been all Edmonds Woodway, Steve.
Yeah, and then some. What was it, 28-0 scoring here in the second half, and it hasn't even been that close.
A 41 almost trouble there. And now a penalty flag will move the sticks, I believe, in Edmonds Woodway. Personal foul on the face mask penalty, but
I'm still
unanswered 41 points by Edmonds Woodway running backs.
Yeah, we'll spot you the first 7, and then we'll come in and just dominate you, and that's kind of what the Warriors did. And by the way, our buddy, the general, Aaron Ryle, getting a little bit banged up there. That was an interesting kickoff there, as it just happened to bounce right in the middle where nobody was, and I think Riles went to get the ball as well as another Lynwwood player. And initially, Riles had it in his hands, and it ended up bouncing out of his paws and right into the hands of one of his teammates. And it looks as though Riles might have taken a hit to the head on the play. He's nursing a little bit of a headache there as he kneels down on the sideline.
So after the touchdown in the first quarter by Lynwwood, it's been interception, downs, punt, downs, interception, downs, interception, punt.
You're not going to win very often doing that, are you?
Not much. Not quite the line in the scorebook you're looking for. There's the handoff on the interior. Around the outside and a pop.
So I did not major in math in college, but if my math serves me correctly, it means in the last 2 games combined, Edmonds Woodway has given up 17 points. Not too shabby.
And I'm also called Calvin Neely's number, but I know Calvin Neely is not 6 foot, whatever that is, out there on the field.
Calvin Neely?
Yeah. He's listed as 5'4", and that's certainly not. I believe that's Ian Whalen.
He's got the same last name as you.
Because they trade jerseys on a time to time. So he might be credited. I believe Calvin Neely's now wearing 24. So those screwballs, good friends, have swapped jerseys for.
Just chip off the old block, huh?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, Calvin Neely, the middle linebacker, happens to be related to this broadcaster. And Ian Whalen, living about 2 blocks down, wearing his jersey number. We'll have to figure out how that went down when we get home tonight. 4:20 to go. Whether that was intended or a practical joke, I guess we'll find out. And
well, high schoolers can be flaky sometimes. Do you think the 2 guys just put the set on the wrong chair and put the wrong shirt on, or what? What's the deal there, Dad?
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Perhaps Calvin knew that Dad was going to be broadcasting the game and wanted to throw him a little curveball.
I think I hit it, didn't I?
You did. You figured
I hit it. 3:55 to go and change. A lot of the JV players getting some action here in the ball game at the tail end of this one. Back to pass, a new quarterback. No, it isn't a new quarterback. Still in the ball game is Alton Hammond, but certainly nonplussed right now with.
Same quarterback, same results.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit. And that will be 4th down. So Edmonds Woodway will get the ball back and chew up the final 3:42. You've had a long night, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, two ball games. It's we started here at 5 o'clock, and we're still on the air, so we're still going strong. Matter of fact,
I'm losing my voice, and you're going strong, and I've only called one.
Well, it's easy. The color commentary part is a little bit easier. I don't have to talk as much, and thankfully, because I got a little excited there for the last quarter of that first game of the night here.
Game.
So
that's right.
Kind of nodding my head a little bit, going, yeah, well, sure, that sounds good. And letting you call the game.
Busted play. Costa Cooper, the fullback, with the handoff. Loses 3. So nice to be able to call everybody's name in the ball game.
And we talk about it from time to time. If anybody who's ever played high school football, if you're a sophomore or a junior, or even if you're a senior who is a backup player, you don't care if it's 41-7 or if it's 0-0. I mean,
not a chance.
You're getting to play on a Friday night. Your friends are all here. Your family's here. The lights are bright. There's the band. I mean, it's just a special experience, and you always like to see these kids get in here and get some extra playing time. And anytime their names are getting called out, whether it's by us or on the PA system, it's fun.
Rolling out now is the quarterback, Crawl, and he'll just keep it and still motoring down that left sideline right in front of his bench, picks up the first down, and boy, he scampers out of trouble in a hurry. That looked a lot like Isaac Jackson, his predecessor.
He was not crawling by any means. He was flying down that field. That was a nice 24-yard pickup. Oh.
And we have a holding call. That may be why.
Yeah. We'll be crawling back to the original line of scrimmage for another play.
And then some. So Edmonds Woodway will head back to, well, they'll mark it at the point of the foul, which was just inside the 36-yard line. So it'll be a 10-yard penalty. We'll back it up 5 yards from the original line of scrimmage, and they will replay second down. And most importantly for Edmonds Woodway, get the clock started again with getting close to the 2-minute mark. So the Warriors moving on to 3-2 in the regular season. And the Royals will fall to 2-3 after tonight's game. And of course, you got to look right to the heart of the Wesco 3A South. That's really what everybody's playing for. Scrawl will roll out, same play. This time he'll tuck it back in, breaks one tackle, gets up near the line to gain. I think he got it. Holy cow. Maybe a yard short. They will say it is fourth down, just shy. No, third down, my apologies. Third down and inches. So you've got Terrace 3-1. You've got the 2-1 Edmonds Woodway Warriors now,
who hold the tiebreaker on Mount Lake Terrace with the head-to-head victory.
And you also have, surprisingly, Meadowdale hanging right in there with only a single loss. No, actually, they've got the two losses
now, yeah,
to the Glacier Peak Grizzlies and the Terrace Hawks. So they will play here at home next week against the Lynnwood Royals.
And, we talked about it on the broadcast earlier tonight, too. Shorecrest really has a chance to be a spoiler. They're a 2A team that plays in the 3A conference. When you play Shorecrest, those games count either for or against you in the standings, but Shorecrest is not in a position to knock off anybody for a playoff spot because they go and play 2A playoff football, but they can certainly be a factor in who finishes in which positions in the rest of the division.
Victory formation now, kind of like the Ferndale squad up north. You always kind of I wonder how they're going to fit into things. You and I have had many discussions on playoff pictures down in basketball especially, and how all those things play off. And it's interesting. Whether it's fair or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it certainly makes for interesting conversation.
It does indeed.
So that will wrap things up here as the final play of the game. The clock will tick slowly down to 0, and Edmonds Woodway will walk away with 41 points unanswered in the ball game. The final 41-7. We'll take a break and be back with our adrenaline fundraising player of the game when we come back. I wonder if it's a question. We'll be back on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Welcome back on the post-game show on the Sound Live Sports Network. The final 41-7. And I'm standing here with our Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Game, Tyler Reinford. It's not every season that you can put 5 touchdowns in your pocket, let alone 1 football game. It's got to feel mighty fine to come up here and with the majority of the points up there on that board.
I mean, I got to say our line, they were phenomenal tonight. The way they were playing, they were all upfield. They were giving that extra length. One of our sophomores got injured. We were playing that game for him. He really messed up his knee last night, and I think we all pulled it together just for that kid, just tonight. And everybody played their tails off tonight, and it was great.
There was another name we called an awful lot coming out of that backfield for Edmonds Woodway tonight, wearing number 26 right ahead of you. At one point in time, he had more yards than you did, and you had more touchdowns than he did. So what do you think of that character?
I think that we really were – the plays that we were setting up, they either had to guard me or him, and I feel as though he was running real hard and he was just wide open every time, just rushing hard, going hard all plays.
At one point in time, Edmonds Woodway was a little bit on the ropes. You were down 7-0. Lynwwood came right down the field, looked like at ease in that first quarter, and then something happened. Was something said, or did you guys just suddenly get comfortable and figure out what you were all about there to get the ball rolling?
I think that our team knows what we need to do. We know we're a great team, and we know that our offense, if we just get it rolling, we're unstoppable. And, I mean, we just came out hard. They scored 1. 6 points is nothing to our offense, and we just came back hard, came back harder.
There was some questions. Steve Willits and I, who was doing color tonight with me, we were talking about not entirely sure which Edmonds Woodway team was going to show up at the ball game because after watching the first 2 here early on in the season, it was a little bit of a leaky ship, so to speak. Yeah. And then last week, you guys come out with fire in your belly or something because Isaac Jackson threw an amazing football game, was flawless. And then tonight, you finally got yourself going. What's ahead? 2-0 to start the regular season, so to speak.
I can tell you only great things are coming. That's all I can say. We're getting better and better every week. We're working hard. We're coming together. We're getting a better chemistry, and we're just loving the game, playing hard, coming stronger every week.
You got a Shorecrest team that played a pretty good Mountain Lake Terrace team here, an early game right ahead of you. Got them homecoming next Friday. Has anything been talked about as far as the Scots?
No, not yet. We've just been going week by week, team by team. We're just going to start practicing tomorrow morning, working on the Scots. We're coming. Okay, our Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Game, and, of course, the honors, the T-shirt. The official player of the ball game T-shirt, Tyler Reinford, with the repeat performance. You got one last year also. So congratulations. Go celebrate with your teammates. I appreciate your time, Tyler. Again, the W, 41-7, the final on the Sound Live Sports Network. And, of course, we'll be back here next week with the ball game against the Scots. It'll be the early game, a 5 o'clock start here on the Sound Live Sports Network. We hope you'll join us. Until then, good night and be well. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
All right, next time.